Farming is a process that needs to be done in pretty much every gacha game at some point, and Azur is no exception. There are ways to effectively farm in Azur, and we're gonna kind of talk a bit about my tips about farming in Azur. So, first tip I want to go over is to fill out your fleets. And by fill out your fleets, I mean fill out all 6 slots. Because you do not have to worry about being oil efficient in the early game, in the mid game, in the late game. So the reason why is because, well, let's take a look at this. Okay, in the early game, when you're doing stages, say like 1 through 8, let's consider that the early game, maybe 1 through 10. You only have access to ships that you get in the game most of the time. If you're lucky, you get some good ones from the gacha, but generally you're probably going to only be using the ones you could get in the game, which there are some really decent ships you could get from just the game and not the gacha. With that in mind, those ships are not very expensive. They're typically like blue or purple ships, and also you are given 4,000 oil every week for free. And that oil is enough to carry you throughout the week in the beginning of the game, for sure. Now, when you go later on in the game and you have ships that are more expensive, you have UR ships, you have gold ships, fleets full of those. Now, that's when it can start to get a little expensive. But here's that thing, is when you start to farm the later stages, and you farm them enough to get the threat level to safe, there was all of a sudden an oil cap. So that means no matter how expensive the ships are in your fleet oil wise, there will be a cap on how much will be spent per sortie, per battle. So because of that, you don't really have to worry too much about oil, especially when there's a cap for when you are running your stronger ships. So that is one thing I want to say, is to fill out your fleets, make it all 6, and you'll be Gucci. It'll give more ships XP, and that's kind of how the design of the game has been going since they updated the way oil is distributed. Now, with oil no longer being the main hurdle, I think the main hurdle is morale. Morale is a stat that is connected to every ship, and morale depletes every time they engage in a battle, and when it's low, their affinity starts to lower, and when their affinity starts to lower, they don't get stat bonuses, and you want those stat bonuses. And also, when the morale depletes, they don't get a bonus to experience points gained, so you definitely want to keep morale boosted up as much as possible to effectively farm. So to effectively keep the morale up, you do want to keep your dorm stacked with the ships that you are focusing on developing. And I believe you only start off with 2 slots. You have to buy every single slot, maybe 2 or 3 slots, but you do have to buy extra slots. And I would say this is probably the best investment of your gems other than the dock, because after you pay for all the spaces, and then you get the option to buy the second floor. Once you buy the second floor, you get access to 6 slots. And although these slots do not increase the experience points passively like the first floor does, it will still increase their morale. So this is very good. It's very good, especially when you have multiple fleets of ships you want to develop. Definitely worth investing there. At this point in the video, I would have to ask to please like the video and subscribe if you're new. I do Azur videos pretty consistently, and among other things, so you'll be very much welcomed here. Also helps out the channel a ton. Super appreciate you watching. Let's continue on with the video. When farming for XP, set your boss fleet with the best ships you have. Now, I could kind of not really give the best example because all these ships are kind of high-ish level, although I would probably grind probably like 13-1 with this. I think I have been grinding with this one. So okay, yeah, this ship fleet here is pretty dang good. And I also have this. Oh, this should be New Jersey. I don't know why. Oh, it's probably for the boost he gives the Royal Navy. Whatever. Yeah. So you want to keep your boss fleet to be the strongest ships you have, even though you may not be focusing on leveling up those ships in particular. But the reason why is because that way it will go over quickly. In case you do not know, you can set the role of each ship, of each fleet. So see right here, the first fleet is set to take care of just the escorts, and then fleet 2 is set to fight the flagships. So this means this fleet is just gonna fight the boss when it shows up, and then the first fleet is gonna fight everything else until the boss shows up. So yeah, this first fleet should be the one you are mainly focused on leveling up if you are grinding just for experience points. You are not typically going to care about getting your boss fleet leveled up, so just fill it up with your strongest ship so that way you could clear the boss as fast as possible, so you could go into the next round of battles for the escort fleet. You could also set it to fight literally all the enemies, but when you get to higher levels, where it kind of matters having a boss fleet versus a boss focused fleet versus a mob focused fleet, having a boss fleet versus a mob fleet later on it becomes a lot more important, because a mob fleet is really not going to be enough to take care of literally everybody. So you will eventually need to have a boss fleet. That's basically what I'm getting at. You will basically need a boss fleet early in the state, like early stages, probably like 1 through 4. You could probably get away with having one fleet fight everybody, including the boss fleet, but then from then on it's a bit more difficult to do so. So yeah, okay. Early in the game, give your ships good gear. Gear is the biggest hurdle. If you've seen my 6 tips video, I kind of talked about this a bit, where that was kind of the biggest hurdle for my progression in the story chapters. But I talked about these tech boxes. You only want to open purple ones to give you a better chance of getting decent gear. Also open the gold and rainbow boxes when you get them. Just having decent gear is going to be enough to push you through the stages, and then will also help you clear the enemies faster to make the grinding go faster. You want to grind as fast as possible. At some point in your leveling up adventure, Pro 4 kind of becomes your standard grinding stage. Chapter 12 is typically where I grind a lot of my fleets that are level 100, and then I develop them from there to be 120. And yeah, Pro 4 is kind of the standard, just because it is so much easier than 13. 13.1 is a bit more significantly difficult than 12.4. But yeah, this you could kind of auto without much trouble, without having a really well composed fleet. So that is what makes it such a good spot to grind for coins specifically, and XP, XP as well. But for coins specifically, this is where you're going to be grinding a lot. And when it comes to grinding for coins, the best way to do so at any point in the game is to grind the highest stage you can clear most comfortably. So let's say if I was an earlier player and the highest my fleet has gotten to was say 8.4, like we haven't even cleared 8.4 yet, we just are starting to get started with it. If I wanted to say level up my fleets, I would probably grind, let's say like a level 6 stage or 5 stage, because I don't know, that's just throwing out numbers. I'm not, because with this hypothetical, I don't know exactly what gear, what ships I have. Well, with this hypothetical, I probably can't comfortably just clear 7 stages, maybe you can. Maybe I'm not giving myself enough credit. I'm not giving the girls enough credit. Maybe you can. But yeah, let's say I was on chapter 8.3. Probably only going to be doing like 7.1 or 7.3. Usually the 4th ones are a bit trickier. So I'll probably only be able to auto 7.3 the most comfortably. So when it comes to grinding for just coins, just do the highest stage you could do the most comfortably on auto. That's what would be my advice. Now, when it comes to farming XP, I will want to say that there are some ships that will increase the amount of XP that a ship gains. I will show them on screen here. Those are my tips for farming. Now you're probably wondering, Rudy, what stages do I farm? That's a separate video. It's coming up soon, so subscribe to make sure you don't miss it. Yeah, other than that, check out the video when it drops. I have a podcast on the Discord. Links to that in the description below. Also check out the 6 quick tips for beginners. Those are pretty helpful. And really appreciate you watching. Wholeheartedly thank you. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care.